Of course, this is the one meeting we probably would like to have a lot of people. Just because all
Yeah,
the
I
stuff.
haven't seen Bob Hagopian much. He hasn't been coming to club, or has he been
Yeah.
traveling, or?
I don't know. I keep seeing him checking out my Flickr, but
I know he's part of Motor City Camera Club. Maybe he's attending, going there or something. I don't know.
I hope not. We don't want to
Yeah,
lose anybody to them.
well, and I know he likes these Wednesday groups. Maybe he's just been out of town.
I was over by 12 Oaks the other day and I drove by Hagopian Carpets, and I wonder if that's the same family.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a pretty common Armenian name, so.
Yeah. So Gary, did you wear out that lens yet?
No, but I did take it out this morning and I'm pretty impressed. I usually don't shoot with a super wide angle lens, but I'll
You're gonna
find some
start.
use for it.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of use for that lens.
Yeah, I took my wide angle on my trip and then I couldn't use it. For some reason, it's saying it's not connecting to the camera body. I've got to take it in. That was frustrating.
Okay, Ann Berry's with us. Hey Joseph, do you remember how to use your camera?
No, you have to, next time you have to show me where to turn it on.
Right, I will. Actually, Gary will have to. I don't know anything about that off-brand.
Is that behind you, Bob, an Isel Adams? Looks pretty good.
That's mine.
That's a Bob Radcliffe?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
It's an
wow.
Ansel Bob.
Where is it?
I've got a bunch of them that look like Ansel's. To my right is Half Dome in a fleeting storm.
Yeah,
Or-
but the one behind you, what is that?
Looks like Yosemite.
That's down the valley. We were in Southern California, and I saw the weather was going to be a big storm up at Yosemite. So we hightailed it up there and got a place to park the motorhome just before the storm hit. And we were there for when it was leaving.
And you took that picture out of your motorhome?
No. I had the Jeep at that time. We spent 2 days in there shooting. Okay, we got Mr. Byerly.
I sent Tom a note. Maybe he was taking a nap or something.
Oh,
He
that
did
could
send
be.
pictures.
Keith and Doug are up north.
I'm here.
Oh, hey, Doug. Hi.
You're back.
Hi.
I don't know how long to wait before we
Well, let's give Tom another minute, see if he shows up.
at least you can hear in here now. They've been re-roofing my house all day and they just quit. But it's been deafening. Had 13 guys on the roof.
Doug's disappeared.
Yeah.
Bob, does anyone else? Bob is all frozen for me. Is he?
Me?
Yeah, me too. Just black screen.
What happened? I've got mute. I
Your
don't-
picture is frozen.
Wonder why. I noticed that it was automatically going to following me. Wonder what that's about. It's always something.
Doug, are you there?
Start.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
here.
you were gone for a minute.
Oh, you know why? I had my stop video on. I clicked that thing for a minute. I don't know why. So, okay.
I'm here again.
Yeah.
You're
Bob's
there. I can
I
see
don't know
you.
why.
What was it?
I don't know. I just restarted the video. They keep adding so much stuff to Zoom that I don't pay attention to. Andy, are you with us?
He left the room.
His picture's not on the screen anymore, or the blank screen picture. Oh, it only shows 5, 6 of them or something.
I see 7.
Yeah,
I,
7.
s- I see 6.
I see 7. Maybe you don't see yourself, Doug.
I see myself.
Oh, I don't know.
Bad.
Hard to say. We are
Speaking of new,
recording.
speaking of new gadgets, I
There it is.
uploaded the new Lightroom. That depth of field that you were talking about, Bob, from what I gather, that only works for cell phone images
No,
that have a depth map.
nope. It'll create,
We'll talk about that tonight.
Oh, okay.
yeah. I will say that the cell phone implementation from Apple is better. In fact, it's the best of any of them right now because it creates an awfully accurate map. But no, the new Lightroom and Photoshop functionality is pretty good most of the time.
Okay, I haven't been able to use it with my images.
Gary, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you go through.
Sure.
everything.
Hey, Linda,
Yeah,
I have to say something. I wasn't at club last week, but last week when you talked, I had looked to see if people were entering images a week ago when I put the things up, and you had that picture of that black cat that got first place in assignment.
yes.
I said, when I saw that, I can't remember who I told. I said, that's going to win first place because that was absolutely beautiful.
Yep, as
Well,
well
And it was
thank
the only
you.
one. It was the only one that was in there. Like you must have entered it long before you went on your trip or something, or when you decided, hey, it's got to be a color photo of something black and white.
Yeah.
Black.
My kitty earns her keep.
Yeah, no, that was beautiful.
Thank you very much.
The spots on the hat and her eye and everything. It was gorgeous.
Okay, can everyone see my screen?
She has many beautiful cat pictures.
Yeah.
Yes. I can see your screen. Let me.
Okay, can see my screen. All right. We're gonna start with Doug here.
No. Okay. Gary bugged me to put pictures in, so I was up north this weekend because I haven't photographed in 6 months with my cameras, and I went up to try it. I was able to handle a camera, so
Good.
but not well, but I can still handle it. And
Good.
so I'm moving on. I'm going back up tomorrow somewhere, so for 5 days. So, but this is I was only up we stayed around Tequamanon. Tom Callan and I went up there. We were around Tequamanon Falls, and we stayed there Thursday to Sunday. And this is the Vermilion Point life-saving station that they're redoing up there. They got collecting money and they're redoing the actual building, which is behind where I'm standing here. But we had these nice clouds in the sky, and we came upon the building and we walked the trail out. We had to drive out to the end of this road up by Whitefish Point.
I was going to say, isn't that the one right there by Whitefish?
Yeah, so you got to drive to the end of the road and then you got to walk to it, and then the beach was beautiful, and the rest of there's a few other pictures in here that have the beach there and everything.
Yeah, that cloud formation is really nice.
Yeah, it was spectacular.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Gary, is there a way to,
Forget this one; it's crooked.
Forgot
is there a way to get rid of the background? So it's just,
Well, normally I would bring these into Bridge, but the file sizes are small. So if I bring them into Bridge, I can show you what happens.
I sized them like for club because I don't know how to do it.
Oh,
So they come out small, he said. So
okay.
If I go, let me see.
do whatever, then whatever works.
whatever works, fine.
Okay, I'll put this back down. Yeah, sorry about the background, downtown Rochester. Let's see.
You can't turn it dark, huh? So no.
No,
Okay.
I'm just all I'm doing is just showing them
There.
right here.
Okay. Yeah, you can go by this one. Go past. I sent the wrong one. Yeah.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, I was straightening. I mean, I could remove the people and stuff, but it's just the beaches were beautiful. It was, I was hoping for some rain and bad weather, and it was in the 50s and sunny and windy all the time. So
Did you use a polarizing lens to get the watercolors or?
I always use a polarizer.
Yeah, okay. I like the people. It looks like a guy and his dog or something.
Yeah, no, it's another person bending over there. They're digging up trying to dig up those little stones, with the purple lights. Although this isn't at night, they're during the day doing it. They were standing out in the water, digging
Mhm.
stuff up. They had buckets and these little claws or something. So,
So how many pounds?
but
of
the
rock
beach is
did
the
you
beach
bring?
is long and there's nothing on it but these rocks. It's just absolutely beautiful out there.
That's pretty.
So I tried to get right down on the beach, and use a wide angle lens and
I like it.
get the rocks and stuff like that. And I did somewhere I got the more clouds and everything. I did all kinds of stuff, but I just put a few of them in. So
It's quintessential Michigan.
yeah, and
Like,
it's just
Michigan.
I did somewhere I did some with my cell phone, and then blurred them like you can on the app there, the live view, and the water just kind of goes soft and it doesn't add anything to it to me. So I like the kind of the clouds and the white caps. So. And I got more. There was a jet stream came in, so that was going to work. So this is the beach right there.
Oh,
before you get
that's
to it.
nice.
It's
I like that.
before you get to. That's looking the other way, and it's on the beach before you get to the beach, or on the.
It's a pattern in the grass there.
That's what I was going after. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, my
Okay.
goodness.
And
That's
there's an
tattered.
American flag right there at that point, just before you got to the beach. Before you got to that grassy area.
Wow.
Kind of
that
ripped
tells
up.
a story.
I
Yeah,
figured I'd take it. I figured I could use it somewhere.
Yeah, I like that. You
I
could,
do too.
it may not win color, but I think I love these kind of pictures.
Hmm.
So and then.
Oh,
I wanted to mess around. This is at Tequamanon Falls, and it was very hard to do because it was sunny, dappled light. So I found the spot where everything was kind of in the shade, and took it, just some of the rapids, and I went in closer.
Looks like liquid gold.
Yeah, I'm doing sections, trying of the water movement and stuff. So
I
Sometimes
thought I thought it looked like beer.
and that's
Well,
and
people
that's
call it Root Beer Falls.
Well-
just an I shot in the camera just the longest exposure I could have with the camera. Nothing, no multiple
filters.
exposures, no multiple exposures, no filters. Yeah, it's moving so fast. You don't need that, but
Right.
That's
That's the
actually
same
a little
spot.
lighter than sometimes.
huh?
That's a little lighter water than sometimes. Sometimes it gets really dark.
Oh yeah, well, I did some of that too. So it was in the sun partially. So
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
and that's just a little motel, but near Newberry. All what's left over of one there.
Mhm.
We were driving by it, and I said, "Oh, Tom wanted to stop. Oh, let's stop here." We stopped. There's some parking spots right in front, and you'll see that I did a black and white one, a wide shot of it.
Yeah, I like the black and white.
Yeah, there's several of those along too.
Yeah,
Oh, that's.
that's right next to that. And the guy came out when we were taking pictures. Came out on the highway on his 4-wheeler, saying that he owns 4.5 acres there of maple, so you could walk around
Wow.
and everything is less go in there. But when you go inside, it was all green. It was only colored out near the edges. Colors were still a little not quite there yet, all the way. So
But I like how you position that one. Yeah, those are nice.
I just like those kind of forest scenes.
Mhm.
So,
Trees are challenging.
and that's on the trail going down to upper Tequamanon Falls. It was still all green, but it's just a nice tree, that maple tree there.
Boy,
Pretty.
And that's Tequamanon. That's taken with your regular camera, and I just resting it on a fence post because I didn't carry my
Ah.
tripod down. That's still not doable yet. So
So
Can
the
you-
color's really late this year.
yeah, this is done with a cell phone.
Oh,
Nice.
And this too.
oh, that's the color. I like that too.
Oh, I like
That's-
that.
That's
Color.
the other. That's that.
Yeah,
And I went just for the color, and I didn't want any sky or anything. I just wanted all that tree above it and everything.
I like this composition.
Yeah.
My favorite so far.
Yeah, I do too.
Really like this.
Yeah, Tom Callan liked that, so I'm sure he'll enter that in color as next chance he gets. Because
Really
he's been
nice.
places where he has some color pictures.
I really like it like that, but you could even fiddle with it and do it a little more,
Wes?
Wait a minute.
no, I'm thinking of the Andrew Wyeth. I
Oh,
feel like that would be a good choice.
Change the
Yeah, I
colors.
like that.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I really like it like that, but just
So this is a
for another look.
okay, this is a little place called Carp River that I know about. And basically that's taken with a cell phone in the live thing, and then you go and put the motion blur on it
Uh,
and do that. And so that's what I did, because it was kind of getting, the sun was coming in. I could only do a little bit of this because the sun was creeping in from the sides, but that's what I kind of wanted to try to do. But I had filters and ready to try to do it with a regular camera, but didn't have enough time. So that was on the way home. Yeah. So I was just playing around. And this was,
Horizontal lines on that one.
yeah. And this was just another scene in the forest.
nice.
Right, this is right where we parked to go to that little rapids in the water.
so
I
did
think
you
that's all
run
I
into
got.
any deep color up there?
No, did not. That's the thing. We went as far over as Sini, and coming back, things are pretty good, but just along the edge, it's,
Oh,
it's yeah, it wasn't, it was a week or so behind from what I've seen before.
Yeah, I think these are Ann's, and she's not with us, but I think she's looking for feedback on these, and she's going to view it later. So we'll go through them.
yeah. I thought our shots of this church were amazing.
This is in Barcelona, right?
Yeah. But the stonework they've done here is just amazing.
I think she said they're going to be done in 2 years.
So are they renovating it, like replacing, or
No,
Still
this is
building
the
it.
original.
they're
This is
still
the-
building the
Still
original?
building from the original start, which was what, over 100 years ago or
Yeah,
so.
they've been building it continuously.
Wow.
Different architects, different designs along the way.
They're making it up as they go along, literally.
That's nice in black and white, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, she's got that
Good tonality.
symmetrical. I might get rid of that.
Shiny spot on the cross. Oh, that's gorgeous.
Oh, that's nice.
That in,
Yeah, I like that one.
boy, that would hurt your neck scooting straight up.
I wonder if she was laying on the floor.
Might have been.
Wonder if that's a fisheye lens or
It could
Sounds
just be a
good.
wide angle, the way she angled it a little bit, you know, she's laying right underneath the center of that part, and other stuff goes like long, so,
Tom Pinar's joining us.
huh?
Tom
that's
Pinar's
okay.
coming on.
Yeah, that's one I've seen before she had. so.
Yeah, she had that at club. That's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
nice.
So that's not a, I thought that's not like a kaleidoscopy thing. That's the actual, she hasn't done anything to it.
You saw the other picture, she had the other, it didn't let the first picture, it was in there,
Yeah, she's just between 4 columns going straight up.
yeah. Yeah, the one picture, she had another part on the side and not a square.
Hey, Gary,
Yeah.
imagine drawing those drawings for that.
Mm,
That's different.
I like that, having something framed like that through another part
yeah.
of the building.
And the different textures on the rock go from rough to smooth. That's neat.
Yeah, this one I really like. When I saw this before, when I first downloaded it, I was very impressed with this.
Yeah, I like that.
She do flip them over and did some other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom, you're on the line now. What do you think? How was this accomplished?
Oh, that was, several layers, I'm sure.
You just flipped them over upside down. and-
Yeah, looks like one of these layers is posterized.
Mhm.
Let's see. And then I know the color balance was changed, or the
It's cool.
Tanter, some color was changed to blue.
Yeah, I
Um,
like it.
Yeah, I do too.
a lot of stuff going on.
Whoa, look at those.
Huh.
Like the balconies look like masks.
That's
Yeah.
in Spain, huh?
Yeah, the Gaudi buildings in Barcelona.
Yeah.
Oh, she put this in club, didn't she?
Yeah,
No. Did she do this one or other ones?
she had it in this last club meeting.
I thought it was
Yeah,
very similar.
This is the one she said she got there just as the guy was beginning to open the curtains.
So
And
she must have walked around this. This is something Tom and Bob and I were trying at Greenfield Village and failed miserably, but this looks really good.
when she used the same method as Tom uses.
Yeah, yeah. You gotta get the right subject matter, and this looks like it really works.
Mm-hmm.
I like the one in the shipyard even better. Oh, that's good.
That one's nice. I like that.
Blurry. It's supposed to be, I know.
Mm-hmm.
This in club, I liked this one quite a bit.
Doing good with that technique.
Well, that's neat.
Are those all individual images?
Yeah,
How did she do that?
Well,
Oh,
she's
she
got
probably took
yeah,
a
she's got
picture.
This is the
Ah.
enlargement, I think, of the tiles, the individual
Okay.
tiles. And this
I
is
was thinking
the,
she actually put pictures of someone else's artwork.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
that took some time.
Isn't that
Uh,
something?
Yeah.
porcelain tiles, yeah,
It's neat.
just little photographs.
Oh, that's nice.
Nice, yeah.
I like that.
That
You're
was
gonna see in the
outward
following
guys
pictures,
were-
this is an exercise area where people come down to the beach and exercise, but I like it. It's an abstract when there's no people in it.
Yeah, and she looks like
she
she
had
offset
these.
it a bit.
Yeah, he's a club.
I actually like that other one, previous one, better than this one.
This
Not
one
that-
is-
This one. I like
Yeah,
this
there's a lot
one
of,
better.
lot of figures in here. It's a nice composition.
Yeah, all these little vignettes.
Yeah.
She put this one in club, but I like the other better.
Yeah, she said she'd spend a lot of time photographing these guys. For some reason.
I wonder why.
Doug, we should go to the beach and try this.
See that guy? You see that guy in the back? He's saying, "I wish I could do that."
Yeah, he's got a little bit of a tummy.
Good grief. Good for them.
This one I like. This is
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like that too.
it's very nice.
all right. Good stuff.
Yeah.
And if you're listening, good job.
I think she's traveling today, isn't she?
She's in England, yeah.
Traveling to there today. She was leaving today.
Now you sent me two folders here. I'm not sure if there's a particular order you want to show them in, or should we
Oh,
just
no, one's just flowers and the other's like
Okay.
reflections. So I kind of just put stuff together quickly today because I just got back on Sunday and then I had to go to
Speaking of-
Chicago and just got back yesterday. So
Speaking of Anne, she's joining.
Oh,
Okay.
good.
So Anne, did you select this out and put it on white or just brighten the background?
It was pretty white to begin with, so I just really whitened it. So it kind of made it like a high key.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Oops, did I get that? No, okay, we're in the right order.
This I kind of softened. I just, you know, kind of like the way the light was hitting them, and then I just left it soft in some parts. I don't always like my flowers crystal clear.
Yeah, I like the effect. Is that there are filters that do it, and you know, actual filters, soft
Oh,
focus filters.
No, there was no filters.
No, just did it in camera or in Photoshop.
You can do it clarity and stuff.
Yeah, it looks good. I like that.
You
Thank
know,
you.
in the old days, the way they used to get that blur was to put nylon hose over the lens.
Oh,
Oh.
huh.
Or Vaseline, right? You can do
Yeah.
Vaseline or something.
And I have two of these pictures of these tulips. I just loved these. There were a bunch of dying tulips. They were at their end of their lifespan. And I just call them growing old gracefully. I just thought they're very artsy looking. So I felt like the flower doesn't always have to be perfect. And for some reason, these in the stage that they were, I really liked. There's this one and one other one. That's the other one.
Yeah, I like that.
Thank you.
Well, they have interesting shapes, don't they?
Yeah, yeah.
And their own story to tell.
Mhm. And this was at the Torridon Hotel in Scotland. They had a garden in the back, and I've never seen these blue. I think it's a blue peony.
It looks like a poppy, but
Oh yeah, maybe it is a blue poppy. I've never seen a blue one. It's always been
Yeah.
orange.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so took a picture. And
Nicely done.
I think this was also in Scotland. I can't remember
Mhm.
now.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I like that, Anne.
Thank you.
It's
I
really
like
nice.
really like the softness as it fades out into the background. That's really nice.
Thank you.
Ann McCutcheon, are you in an airport?
I am. I'm at Detroit. Yeah.
We just looked at your pictures, Anne.
They were good.
They're
Oh, you
nice.
did. I missed that then.
Yeah.
We are
You have to watch
recording.
the video. You get a lot of good comments.
So these are different reflections. This was on a misty morning in the UK in the Lake District, Keswick.
And there.
Is that a typical morning there? Do you get a lot of fog in the morning?
No, I know they do get fog now and then. This was November, first week of November, I think, last year. And I was in Scotland or in the UK for almost 6 weeks, and that was the only day we had fog.
Oh.
Mist. So I just didn't luck out, I guess,
Yeah,
because this was
yeah.
the only day they had it.
That's nice.
And that's in Edinburgh. For life of me, I can't remember the name of the district, but it used to be a like a woolen mill area where they did woolens, and now it's all condos, and there's a river running through it with a little waterfall. It's a really beautiful area.
It's a good example, the white sky. See, I like the white sky.
Mhm. It was like that.
Yeah,
Not a cloud. Just
but I think the clouds would be distracting. I like
Yeah.
it.
For this, I think there's enough of the buildings and everything to take most of the space of the photo too.
Well, and it creates a shape that's
Mhm.
duplicated in the shape of the water.
And this is in the Lake District. Again, I can't remember the name of the lake, but this is one of the boathouses that are often photographed by photographers. And we got there, I think, maybe around 8 in the morning. And it was not maybe 20 minutes after this, there was no more reflections. So it's like a moment in time, you got to get there because once the breeze starts, you know, you don't have that nice smoothness anymore of the water.
Reminds me of the Impressionist pointillism style with all the detail here. This is really
And the
nice. I
leaves.
love that. Yeah, when we had to do these in art class in architecture school, and the pointillist, and you can't believe how long it takes to try to do something like this with points. There's like 10 billion little points you have to put into a painting. But I like that. I like the texture of that, and then contrasted with the smoothness down here, the reflection is really nice.
Thank you. And this was in Scotland, on this trip that we took in April and May. And we're just driving down the road to go to the Isle of Skye. This might have been already in the Isle of Skye. We're heading toward, I don't remember, Uig, I think. But anyway, saw this on the side of the road, and of course I yelled to my husband, "We got to go back. I got to take a picture." And so we pulled into this person's driveway, and I had to walk along the road, which I know, Anne, you know how narrow those roads can be. So I was really nervous because I had to walk maybe, I don't know, 100 yards to get to take this picture, and all these cars are whizzing by me, and they're like, you know, 5 inches from me as I'm walking. So it was, but I was lucky I could get the picture.
It's nice.
And this is on the Isle of Harrison Lewis, and it's the view from the little cottage that we had rented, and it's kind of, you know, more minimalist, I guess, but I just really like the boats. I like boat pictures. I'm fond of them.
You know, with the stippled water behind it, it almost gives it a tilt shift look. Like a
Oh.
miniature.
Almost looks like a
Sounds
little
fly
toy.
boat.
Mhm.
Hmm?
And this is in Scotland also, not too far from Glencoe, but I don't recall the name of the location. And when I was there, it kept going from having a reflection to no reflection to kind of a reflection. So, and it was really tough because the lighting was really, the clouds are really bright, and I did not have my, I didn't have the right filters with me to kind of help with the cloud, you know, to get the sky darker. So I had to work pretty hard to get this to not be, I had to underexpose and then work hard on this
That's
picture to make it
where
look like this.
HDR would come in for you.
Yeah. And this is on the Isle of Harrison Lewis, Gary Beach. Got there early in the morning, and this doesn't show much of the beach, but it is a gorgeous beach. I mean, there's a lot of these, there's not a lot, there's some of these sea stacks, and the beach is long and big, and just a great place for photography. And I think I was there about an hour before people started coming. So there were no footprints and no other people to deal with. It was really nice.
Did you blur? It looks a little bit, or is that just the water
That's just the water.
pulling it back?
Yeah. And that's the Kelpies in Scotland. This is the only picture I edited so far, but I probably have 50 pictures of the Kelpies with all their different colors and from different angles. It's a really cool place. They're so huge.
So much better as a nighttime shot too.
Pardon?
So much better as a nighttime shot.
Oh, yes, yes. Yeah, we got there during the daylight. I took a few shots like that, but with the lights inside, they're just gorgeous, and they keeps changing colors.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Beautiful picture, Anne.
Thank you.
Good.
And you didn't manage to get to Sycamore Gap when you were there, did you?
No. What's that Sycamore Gap?
Sycamore Gap, there's this sycamore tree. It's along Hadrian's Wall in Northumberland.
Oh,
Was
yeah,
that
we
the
didn't
one
get there.
that was cut down?
Yep.
Did they ever? Did
I
they ever
know what you're
find out
talking about.
why? What the reason behind that was?
No, I mean, it was malicious. It's just.
I know, but was that their only, they had no agenda? They
No,
just,
nope. They've arrested some, I don't know, 60-year-old
That's just-
man.
yeah.
Crazy, but that was one of the most iconic trees in the UK.
I know what you're talking about now, and I saw one of the photographers that I know had taken pictures of that, and it was very nice, and it was on our agenda to go there,
Mhm.
but we never made it.
Okay.
Oh, this is mine.
I
So
wonder
this
who these were.
This is from our trip that we just got back from in Morocco, and this was in Casablanca. There's really not much to see in Casablanca, but there is this mosque, Hussein II. I think it's maybe the third largest mosque in the world. And this is just a black and white image with some of the arches. It's so big that you can't possibly get, most of it. And then I think I mentioned my wide angle camera broke, so I couldn't use
Oh,
it.
no.
Yeah, so, you just had to look for smaller bits and pieces of it. And this particular one I was really happy with because the gentleman's, the colors work so well.
Yeah.
And everything went together so nicely.
Sometimes I think the bits and pieces are better than the whole thing.
Yeah, but it's nice to, for travel pictures, you like to have kind of the whole big picture, but I also like the juxtaposition here of the, traditional and the Western garb. And these guys were walking all over the place. They were always had their heads close together and looking at their phones. I don't know what they were doing, but they were kind of cute.
So your guide gave you time to take pictures?
Well, no, I mean, we were there. We were just visiting the mosque.
Yeah, but I mean, he didn't push you along. I mean, if you stopped and took a picture, that was
No, we
okay.
didn't have a guide at this point, but
Oh.
I did get into trouble because, so this is all outdoors here, and I can't even remember how many tens of thousands of people they can get on the outside of the mosque, but I had my tripod with me. And I took out my tripod, and immediately this gentleman came running over and got very upset with me. And then he was speaking Arabic, which I didn't understand. So he called over the police officer.
Oh, no.
Oh, God. Thankfully, the police officer spoke French, which I could somewhat understand. And he did not have a problem with the tripod. But the gentleman was so upset that the museum security came. And it just turned into a big thing. And, you don't want a big thing in a foreign country. So we just put the tripod away, and I did not use it the rest of the trip. Tripods are not welcome in Morocco. They don't like photography. It was very challenging. You just never knew how people were going to react. So again, a lot of back of the heads. I just didn't want to deal. And the thing is, you want to respect, obviously if someone doesn't want their picture taken, you want to respect that. And some of them, do believe that there's bad, mojo, all that. So it was just easier to avoid it. So yeah, back of the person.
Yeah, but I think that's fine. I mean, I love this picture, I mean,
I think it worked in those two.
Yeah,
sure.
it does.
So, and this, I really, again, the colors worked out really nicely here. This was from Colorado about a year ago. It doesn't look as sharp as it should be, but this was at Red Rocks Amphitheater, and I just like the leading line of the bench seating and the way the people kind of were sitting in a spiral almost. They staggered themselves perfectly, for the photo. And we were hoping for a really wonderful sunrise, but it didn't happen. But I still really liked the image. This is also from that same trip in Colorado in Breckenridge. And this was just a store, and I used Topaz 2 for this. And,
I like them. I like whatever you did to it, the artsy look there. I like that.
Looks nice.
Thank you. This was just kind of a Wes Anderson
Yeah.
look and just playing with the colors a little bit. And I don't know, something about the building just looked Wes Anderson-y to me.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Be a good place to use the new color picker.
Oh, Bob, I'm still fighting with that thing, but
So there's
this-
a new Lightroom. I don't think I've done. Is it recent?
Oh,
Yes.
yes. Huge
Yeah,
Yeah, we're
change.
gonna talk about it.
Okay, because I haven't seen it yet.
Now, this image was taken in Rabat in Morocco, and this is one of the largest cemeteries in the country. And the texture isn't showing up as much in what I'm seeing on the screen. I did it in a painterly style, and you can kind of get a sense of the size. But I just noticed this when I sent this in. So all the graves for Muslim people will face Mecca, depending on, east, west, depending on where they're buried. But if you look kind of on the left side, there's one grave here that's not facing Mecca. And it's really got me stumped. And I've been Googling it. I can't find anything. Yes. So I'm going to email my guide and ask them if there's something in their religion, maybe, I don't know. I don't know.
Right.
Seems like it would be bad, whatever.
An adulterer or something that can't face in Mecca.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
So anyway, but
Chris.
it was hard to come up with a composition
Yeah.
for me because you didn't have much room to move around. Again, I was always so worried about offending people and getting in trouble for taking pictures, but I don't know, I kind of liked this. So this is in Rabat as well. This is one of the main entrances into the Medina, or the walled older city. And I played around with colors. I used a little Topaz 2, some color filters. And I don't know, I just liked a lot of the color was already in the image because it's, that golden hour and just the where the sun was in the sky. But I normally don't like images that are real saturated or whatever, but this one worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and I wanted to take a picture of this door, and there was always somebody walking by, and I wanted like the perfect color or person, but it wasn't working out, and I was getting a little frustrated. And then this group came, and I was like, oh, now I got to wait for them to finish. And then I thought, well, wait, this is a picture right here.
It
And
is. That's
yeah,
good.
and I, of all the pictures I took of this door, I really liked this one.
Yeah, I think
like
this is great.
I think I like that too.
Yeah.
It's just a black and white, a little more high key, just accentuating the detail of the door. So, I mean, you could take thousands of pictures of doors. This was another kind of this struck me as Wes Anderson. Just, I don't know, the colors, I tweaked them a bit, but a lot of that color was already there. And then just the way the one lady's kind of often, she's doing her own thing and they're all doing, it's just kind of quirky.
It is. People in the middle there are kind of quirky too with their iPhone.
Yeah. And again, Wes Anderson, kind of a strange crop, but there were so many people and there was only so much Photoshop can do. And I kind of like the crop because it
accentuates the height and then him.
Yeah, and again, with him being in the uniform, that's such classic, I think of that Budapest Hotel and
yeah.
So yeah. This was in Colorado. So this was a cell phone picture. And it was when I took it into Lightroom, it was just awful. It was so pixelated, it was a mess. But I love the pictures, so I had to save it. So went into Topaz 2 and I just used a filter and then played around, afterward. And I love it because there's all these people and the
doggies.
The dogs are the only one noticing that their pictures being taken. They're all looking directly at the photographer.
They are.
Everybody else is wrapped up in their own whatevers. So I don't know. I really liked it.
I like that.
So that's it.
Nice.
Good stuff.
Um,
Oh, man.
ICM, intentional camera movement.
Mhm.
That's all I can say.
What was the original? Was it trees? What was the
I
original?
think I should take notes on what I do. I think that might even be 2 images
Together?
on top
Okay.
of the other. I believe it is. Yeah.
But it looks like, did you soften it or does the softness just come from the ICM? Because it looks very soft.
Um,
The lighting is very,
what I did is I probably I darkened it a little bit here and there, and probably tweaked the
Clarity?
texture and clarity sliders just a tad, just to probably towards the left to give it a little more softness.
Tom, you got
Looks
some,
like a piece of art.
you got some fairly small zigzag movements. Did you just kind of smack the side of your camera?
Yeah, I was I found I like what happens when I'm walking towards something.
Oh.
Just walking along, that's gives me just the right movement.
Mhm.
Tom, was this taken with image stabilization on?
Uh,
Because you get this effect sometimes when I've tried
Yeah.
to do it and I forgot to take the image stabilization off, and you get this like jaggedy effect because the camera sensor is
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
adjust for your movement.
It could be, I'll go out and I'll take all kinds of pictures on a tripod, and I see, well, okay, I got my stabilization on. I have the hardest time remembering to switch that on and off.
Well,
So
it's
do
good. I
I.
like the effect. So I mean, I leave
Yeah.
it on just to get this kind
Yeah.
of with some of
Yeah.
my pictures.
But
Some
I did
cameras don't
try
need
and I did a little bit of a comparison the other day. I shot with stabilization and without on a tripod at about 60th of a second, and I couldn't tell the difference at all. And then I investigated a little bit more, and where it really shows up is on longer shutter speeds, because the stabilization mechanism will have more time to work. And it's not supposed to work when it's on a tripod. So
Some
I think
cameras
if you're,
will
just,
auto
if you're
sense
shooting
tripod.
short shutter speeds,
Just leave it on.
Matter too much whether you have stabilization on or off. But I believe that it's more evident when you have a longer shutter speed.
I know when I purchased my most recent lens, I got into a discussion with the gentleman at ProCam, and he said, the quality, the state of the cameras now, the new lenses now, he said it really isn't an issue, just leave it on.
Mhm. Yeah.
For
Where the
most
issue
of them,
comes
that's
is if you
probably
have the camera on a tripod with image stabilization on and there's something moving in the picture, the camera really reacts to that. So if
He
there's nothing
said-
moving, generally you won't have that issue. But if there are people moving or you're moving the camera or something like that, things would happen. Even the wind, Tom's out in the tree.
Yeah, well,
shrubs.
that's the kind of stuff we were talking about, because I was going to Yellowstone and he said it's not an issue. He said the big lenses are designed, they're so big and they know that, they move and that you need to, he just said, leave it on. And I did, and
But
thought
not
my
the,
pictures
but the
turned out
normal
great.
lenses, it will make a difference.
Nor-
Shorter wide angle ones, it'll make a difference, but on the long ones, you're right, they're designed for it either
Oh,
way.
okay, so like a wide angle lens.
Wide
it's
angle
all a
lenses,
function
you
of
light it,
the-
wide angle ones will make a big difference.
Yeah, and the age of the lens and the camera can make a big difference too.
Hmm.
Newer
That's-
stuff, it's much better.
Everybody doesn't have the newer stuff though, so you gotta watch it still.
Those are cool.
Yeah,
that's,
that's really nice.
that's a honey mushroom.
Well
They-
named.
That happened. You're looking at 24 hours it took to grow that.
Yeah,
I mean,
Wow.
there was nothing there the day before, and then we got a little bit of change in weather and a little bit more moisture, and then that was just like 24 hours later,
Wow.
all of that had popped up.
Was that up
24
at your
hours later,
cabin?
it'll be all rotted, yeah.
Mhm.
It'll last long.
That's a little,
Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh, thanks. That's just another intentional camera movement.
Nice.
Lake Superior.
The sun was setting or rising.
Yeah, it was, yeah. We have a vacation place up there, cabin, whatever you want to call it. And we're about 250 feet back from Lake Superior. So we face towards the west. So, most of the time we have just sunset after sunset after sunset that are spectacular. I'm getting tired of taking pictures of it.
So this one, it looks like you walked toward it.
No, I was probably standing down at the
He
beach.
just forgot, he forgot to focus, that's all.
Exactly. There isn't much movement there, really.
No, there isn't. That's why I thought maybe you
Hmm.
just took a step or two.
No, he forgot to focus.
Well, I wanted it to look a little bit like a Turner. When J.W. Turner,
Yeah.
English painter. I wanted it to not as I was composing it, but later on, in post, I thought, well, maybe I can kind of make that look like a Turner. And then this was, oh gosh, that was a long exposure, and that's actually the moon going down.
Hmm.
Oh,
And it was just to see what would happen. And then when I put it up on the computer, I thought, well, okay, let's kind of go sort of vintage,
That's that pictorialism type of.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I
So,
I
like it.
love that. I think the
Mhm.
softness,
yeah, it was just super noisy. So I decided to just more or less go with it.
Yeah, go with
Yeah.
it.
Soften the noise a little.
yeah, sometimes I think we try too hard to get the super sharp and sometimes it works better.
Oh, and that's I was just at Old Woman Bay. I don't know if you know where that is on East Shore of Lake Superior. And I just watched this young fella walking back and forth, and I thought, well, there's got to be a picture there somewhere, and
Mhm.
it didn't look too good, so I decided to just go high key on that. And
High
Yeah, but
contrast.
it works.
yeah,
So on the shadow of the boy, did you do anything or did it just?
no,
float away?
that's natural.
Oh, that's so
In
cool.
the
I
water.
don't know what those two spots down in the lower left are.
Oh.
I just noticed them
Huh.
after just today. I noticed those, and I don't know what they are. I'll have to take those out, I guess.
You may have just caught the reflection, you just got little reflections.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Well,
So
that's neat.
this was up by our cabin. I was just walking down the road, and there's some nice birch stands in there. Colors were starting to turn, and these things are really easy. These ICM shots.
Reminds me of some we took a while back where we were throwing the camera.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
You only threw it a few inches, but
And I didn't have anything to do, so I just walked out in the backyard and took a shot.
It's like a waterfall of mums.
Yeah, it was actually, I was just sort of testing out a new lens, and I needed something with a lot of detail, and so I kind of liked it, so I included it here.
I like that.
Right back.
Good job, Tom.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
This is my stuff. It's just kind of a hodgepodge of things over the last couple of weeks. I went down to did some drone shots of the excuse me, the old train station that Ford's rebuilding. This is the park there is Ambassador Park, and they've landscaped it and stuff. The flowers are starting to go by the wayside a little bit, but I just got behind the flowers and took a shot.
I like it. I didn't know, so it's been renovated.
They're still working on it. It'll be early next year
Okay.
when it's done, but they're doing the whole thing.
Nice. I like that picture.
And some of you guys that have seen Flickr have seen this one, but I used the 102 megapixel Fuji and took about 8 or 9
Oh.
shots in a pano.
Nice.
That's a good job.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That's from Belle Isle.
Yeah, from the end of Belle Isle.
Oh,
And
that's nice.
this is my Wes Anderson, but believe it or not, I embellished the color saturation just a little. It actually was very orange and very blue because I had
Oh.
the sun coming up to the left and it was foggy and it was just coming over the horizon. So I thought that was kind of an interesting shot.
Yeah, it looks great with
I
the
like
colors.
it.
You did a great job.
Is that in the morning?
That's early in the morning. I started out in dark and waited. And when I turned around from the boat, that's what I got to look at. This is a little later after the sun had started to go up a little higher.
That's nice, Bob. Nice.
Here was a
Ah,
practice
pumpkins.
of shooting multiple exposures. In this case, the street is going, I think, east and west, and the building is going to the south. And so I just merged the two outside of the camera, and it turned out a lot better than the inside the camera shots. This is one that was done inside the camera. I think the only reason this one worked is I was able to keep the yellow insignias pretty close together.
Oh,
So these are in camera, like what in
Pardon?
camera multiple exposure?
Yeah,
wow.
Some cameras have that option where it's set up so that you can take
Hmm.
multiple shots and control, what they look like one after another.
yeah. This was the big 100 megapixel Fuji medium format. And of course, I got a new lens because Gary's always twisting my arm, and 55 1.7, which equals 44 1.3 in 35 terms. So I just ran around and took some shots. This is a student union at Oakland University.
That's great. I like that.
There's another test shot out in the Main Street in Rochester. This flower is it's not a half an inch long, the white part. And I just held the camera out and focused on that. That's probably 1/12 of the actual size of the image, but it shows you if you have a lot of pixels and a decent focus system, things can be done. Here's another one where I just kind of used that lens wide open. I shot everything wide open with that lens. And with just a little bit of texture, it made enough of the remaining flowers that weren't tack sharp acceptable. Again, we're all just testing the lens.
Mhm.
They're sharp where your eye goes, so that
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, this one in the middle, or just above the center. I was downtown in Detroit. The coloration on this processing is a little off, but this is the Shinola Hotel, the brown terracotta, reflecting off the glass of the New Hudson building.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
huh.
That's a great shot, Bob.
Yeah.
Thanks. It was actually taken at quite an angle, so I had to straighten it, but because you can't stand where you need to stand. This is a guy who's just checking his cell phone for stuff, and he's in front of a mural. So I just thought it was my shot at street photography.
It is.
I like it. He's got an interesting, facial expression, and it's very relatable.
Yeah, I even talked to him and asked him if I could take his picture.
Oh, that's good.
This guy I thought was interesting. It's like the girl is looking out at him,
Yeah,
but it's really just an advertisement inside
right.
the
The
moose.
poster. No, that's good. I like that.
Nice street shot.
Pretty strong crop on that one too. These guys were putting up the lights. And in color, most of these lights are very yellow because some of them, they were turned on. But I just kind of like the busyness. They stringing the lights back and forth.
It's really good composition. I like the street sign.
Well, thanks. Here's the front. I say front, the west side of the Hudson building, the short tower. And it's all glass and it's reflecting the sky. So that's why you get the texture in the building. It's all glass. There's a guy catching some Z's amongst a crowd of onlookers, which are actually
Yeah.
just posters. Then he took the drone out. So this is the, this is processed a little light. The Ambassador Hotel and Old Train Station is the centerpiece, of course, but this park in front is the Ambassador Park, and they've got that all fixed up. I think the building to the left is the post office annex. And if you look in the background, I think I'm at about 300 or 400 feet. If you look at the background on the left, you got the Ambassador Bridge, and clear to the back is the new Gordie Howe Bridge that's being constructed. And it's about 2/3 of the way across the river.
Oh, that's a great shot.
Thanks.
You should send it to them.
the
Isn't
bridge?
it Ford Motor that owns the building now?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Oh, I'm
great
sure they're getting lots of pictures from people.
Yeah, that's a really good shot.
And it's not quite
It
done.
makes Detroit look really nice. All the trees, the green.
It does.
Well, and you can see St. Anne's down by the Ambassador Bridge on the left, probably at 10
Mhm.
o'clock.
Oh yeah, little tiny, yep. And just
There you
having the
go.
river there, that's a great shot.
Thanks. I'll wait until it's done in the springtime, probably March, to go get it correct. They'll have a big grand opening. This is a drone shot, and I'm actually in it. You can see the orange chairs to the lower right, and down below, right up by the river, is a little speck, and that's me and my bag down below. No, further down, right up close to the water.
I see
Yeah.
a little to the left.
Yeah, which by the way is
The pointer has to go to the left.
Yeah, right there. That's me.
Mhm.
Oh,
Anyway,
that's you. Oh, okay.
just as I landed, they kicked me out. I thought the Riverwalk there was owned by the city, but it's private property. It's owned by the Ren Center, and they don't allow. I can fly the drone there. I just can't stand there.
Ah.
So next time I'll just stand off to the property to the left and shoot it. But I waited from dark till the sun came up. It was a little bit of fog and haze. And I think I'm at 400 feet when I took this.
Wow,
Nice.
it's beautiful.
That's one from the club, Keith's Dahlia, in color. I think I entered one in the club in black and white. That's on a black piece of plastic.
Ooh, that's nice.
And that's Doug's leaf and Ann's flower, and on Ann's light table from that night. Doug's shells on a piece of glass. This is the one I was debating with the other day, this one and this one, because the detail and sharpness was gone. That club.
Is that upside down? No, it's not. Never mind.
Okay. And then we're back to the start. So I don't get out much. It's just local stuff.
It's great stuff.
So what we're going to do is Photoshop made some big changes to Camera Raw and to Lightroom. Was it Classic or both, or the old Lightroom and new Lightroom?
They changed regular Photoshop, regular Lightroom Classic, and also Lightroom, what used to be called Lightroom Mobile.
So there's three things Bob and I have been talking about this week. We wanted to maybe show a little bit on what's happening. One of them is the background blur. The other is point color. And the third one is HDR. And we're going to take a look at each one of these. Now, these pictures that I'm using are of no special interest other than they were, I think, good subjects for looking at some of the blur features. So we're going to, this is the raw file. So I'm going to take this into Camera Raw. And I haven't done any adjustments to this. And this was taken with a Fuji 56mm f1.2, which is a really nice lens because you can really isolate and to get this kind of a look. And I spent a lot of money on fast lenses because I like the way certain lenses isolate the subjects against the background. Now, the idea of this new feature in Camera Raw, and there's a number of them, they've changed the entire lineup. If you use Camera Raw, you'll notice that this is quite a bit different now than it was before. And they've changed it into light, color, effects. If you want to use the dehazing, clarity, and texture, it's under effects, but whereas before it used to be under light. There's a color mixer. There's a button here for HDR we're going to talk about. The black and white is still there. So this is right out of camera. And you can see the detail here from the lens. That Fuji lens just does a remarkable job with it. And you can see the background blur. And I think we've grown accustomed to seeing this kind of background blur where it seems natural to us, when in fact it really isn't natural. Our eye doesn't see this way where we can isolate and see the background blurs. This is something that just happens. This is a product of the optics. But what the lens blur does, and it's called early access. And when you first go into it, you have to hit this and then it comes up. But if we apply this, what it's going to do is do a mapping, a depth map, and it's going to blur out the background and give us a starting point that we can look at. And this takes 5 or 10 seconds to go through and do. And you can see what happens.
Manufacturing a depth map.
Manufacturing a depth map.
So I have Lightroom, and when I go into Lightroom, that depth blur is grayed out. It's not available for my images. Like, and I Googled it, and that's a thing. Like, you have to have a certain kind of image that has a depth map. So in Camera Raw, I'm going to have to look because I didn't see this come up in Camera Raw.
The type of image should not affect your ability to use this at all. It should be, maybe you have to hit this early access. When I first went in, I did that. And it talks about it, says try now.
And that's sort of like beta.
Yeah.
Did you hit activate? Because you actually have to check the box.
Right.
I think
so. Once it does come up though, and it's not perfect. If you notice on this picture, the nose on the girl is a little distorted. And you can fix that, and the straw is missing. And the straw is missing here. So it's not perfect. But you have options to correct that. But here, you can control the blur amount, where I can go and increase this, and you get some really strong separation, and you have to, be careful about how much you're going to use. There's 5 different kinds of bokeh, where there's a soft bokeh. It tells you in here the standard circular shape with overcorrected spherical aberration. And as you try these, each one is a little bit different. So you have to pick out what you think is the best. And then you can boost the bokeh beyond that. Below it is the focal range, and it actually gives you the mapping from front to back. The yellow is the items that are in focus. And as you get into the purples and blues, it's actually the background, which is out of focus. So you're looking, here's the front of the picture, here's the back, and you can actually change that. I can move this, and you'll see that the background starts to sharpen up again. Or I can move this back here, and it comes back. So there's a lot you can do, and you can refine it where you actually have a brush for focus and blur, so that if something doesn't look exactly right, let's say that this post we think should actually be more blurred than it is, I can go and get a blur brush, and I can paint this in, and you'll see it starts to blur out. And I can actually go in with the the focus one, and I can actually fix this straw in here if I wanted to take the time to do it. I won't demonstrate that now. But it's a remarkable piece of software in that it really can do some wonderful work with you. And especially, you know, if you go to black and white, this thing really
Look how
pops
much
out.
better that is.
On the bokeh, is it adding bokeh or just affecting bokeh that's already in the picture?
It does both. It gives you an option for the type of bokeh. You can get the swirly bokeh, the ringed type bokeh where the circle has a ring around it. You know, you have to read the descriptions as to the different types of bokeh. I personally like just the smooth background bokeh, like this first one. And so you have to play around with it. And if you pick a brush, you can pick the size, the feathering amount, and so on. But again, this is early access, which means it's beta. And if they got it this good in the beta, I'm really excited about seeing what's going to happen.
Hit the visualized depth map.
So,
Hey, Gary.
yeah.
Gary,
Hit
you
the
notice at the
visualize-
bottom there, at the bottom on the right-hand side, there's a thing where you click here to submit your feedback on the lens blur.
Yeah,
Yes.
Because it's a beta one, that's probably why they want to know what people are thinking about it and stuff.
yeah, Gary, show them the depth map.
Yeah.
I think you hit that,
You don't have beta Photoshop though. This is regular Photoshop.
right?
This is regular Photoshop.
But it
and
works on the
Lightroom's
beta
the
too.
same. Yeah. So this is the visualization. The yellow and orange are what's in focus. And then the blues and the purples are what's out of focus. This helps you visualize, and you can actually take the brush and change this if you want. So it seems a little complicated after you've done a few. It's not so bad. So I'm going to hit this, and there's a couple other samples I wanted to show. This is another taken with the same lens, still wide open, and you can see what happens when I do that. Visualize. Okay, so here's before, here's after, and you can see that the hood ornament got messed up a little bit, but I can go in here to refine, take the focus brush, make it real small, and I can actually, looks like there's a little bokeh ball right behind it, but we brought back that. But it's remarkable how well it does. Now look on the left-hand side here, there's a lady with a sweatshirt that looks like she should be blurred out, but she's not. So I can take that cursor, go over here,
Wow.
back off on that, this lamp here. Do that. Now these are all taken, this was taken at f1.2, so this is a really fast lens, and you know, it seems like it's just a natural thing. It's going to start out being good, and you can even make it better. But if I go back, I can take another picture that I shot at f5.6, which is this at the fire station in Rochester. So this was shot at f6.4, and you can see the background here. And watch what happens when we apply. It's remarkable. It looks like it was shot with an f1.2 lens. This whole background, look at the difference.
Wow.
Yeah. The set of changes that Adobe put in is only the beginning of a bigger picture, which includes new file formats and new visualization capabilities on true HDR screens. And that's going to be a trend that's going to move fairly quickly.
So let's see, I'm going to go back to color, and there is that under color mixer, Bob?
Yeah, there's color mixer.
But there's the point, is this the point color adjustment?
No. Well, point
color, here it is. Okay, it's under color mixer, point color. And what this does is you can actually take a spot and go in, pick a color that you want to change, and then you can isolate that color so that if there's reds other places in the picture and you don't want those to change, you can actually do a local adjustment to just to a certain area. Now, I haven't used this a lot yet, but I think it's going to be a good tool.
That's what I haven't been able to figure out. How do you not get it to do global?
That's why they've introduced this point color so that you can do it, can go from global to just a single point. And
But when
again,
I used it and it changed everything. Like anything that was that color, it changed in the whole image, not
You
just
can
what I.
also use it in conjunction with masks. So
okay, and I haven't used it enough to explain how it works.
yeah.
Probably in
if
the
you-
next 30 days this month. Well, I'll play with a
You
little bit.
guys
maybe I
know
can
Greg
explain it later.
Bentz, who's kind of the expert of luminosity masks and HDR photography. His contention in one of his YouTube videos is this is one of the most profound things that Adobe has done, because it gives you infinite control over color, because you've got all the other saturation ranges and things that you can fool around with for a specific shade. So try changing the color of like a red light bulb to a green one.
Well, if I go here, I can pick that and I can change it, but I think this is going to do it globally because I haven't isolated.
Yeah, probably will.
Yeah, how do you isolate it? I don't know.
Well, that I've got to find out.
Oh, that you got to find out. Okay. And
Yeah.
like you said, masking, which you can do in Photoshop, but you can't do that in Lightroom.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Lightroom has masks.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I
In
didn't know
fact,
that.
it has rather robust masking with some complexity. So again, a lot of these features over the last year or so, you don't pay attention to. And pretty soon I'm beginning to wake up now to say, oh my God, they've done a massive amount of changes and they're coming on like gangbusters. And they're even using AI for the masking.
Gary,
Yes.
can you hear me? You have to go into the masking tool in Lightroom at the top, and then if you when you get the drop down menu, there's a point. You actually go in through the masking tool.
Okay. All right.
Rather
So you
than
can mask
under
the-
Mixer. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Okay, but it's still global though. I haven't
No.
figured out.
No,
The mask-
you
mask
can do it
No.
locally with the masking.
Mask makes it local. See, one of the things is you can select when you're masking in Lightroom. You can say that I want to select foreground or background, the subject or background. But you can also go in and say I want to select objects,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah,
click,
I
and
can
that will just take and mask only that object.
I'll have to go back and look at it because, like I said, I've been trying it and I just can't get it to do
Watch the
not global.
tutorials by Greg Bentz. They're incredibly well done and they're free.
I watched the one by Toskowski today. This was very simple and takes you through that.
Okay. We'll look those up and we'll see what we can do with that.
What are the names? Tatowski?
Oh,
That's Toskowski.
Keflowski?
Oh,
Kloskowski, KLO,
Oscar.
and Greg Bentz.
okay, thank you.
So the background blur, the point color, and the third thing we wanted to mention is a big change is the HDR option. Now, this gets a little confusing because if you remember what HDR was 5-10 years ago, is when you were trying to control the tonal range and you would take 5 or 6 images and blend them together to create an HDR. That was pretty much known as an HDR type of photograph. Now we've been introduced to an HDR, meaning that it works in association with an HDR display, which is very expensive. Very few people have, but Bob and I have spent way too much time this week talking about, HDR monitors and the fact that you can buy an iPad Pro that has an HDR screen that you can use in conjunction with your computer, or you can edit with Lightroom
One of the
on your iPad Pro and do HDR editing right on the iPad. If you want to buy an HDR monitor from Apple, what was it, around $5,000?
Well,
Starts
if you buy the super good one, which has been out a couple years, it's 32-inch, and it's literally a perfect monitor. It'll go up to 1600 nits of brightness. If back up a little bit and just give you kind of a history on this HDR thing, the old style HDR, like Gary talked about, was you were taking multiple images, and people tended to create the HDR look, which was more or less adding grunge and squeezing the dynamic range down because your camera sensor couldn't get it in one image in the first place. Nowadays, the camera sensors can capture quite a bit more information, but you still are forced to cram it down into the SDR, standard dynamic range color space, which is what you're all used to working with. So you run your sliders back and forth to keep your image from hitting either end of the SDR space. SDR is a definition of the old display. So an older television was a standard dynamic range, which was 100 nits of brightness was what was assumed. Typical computer monitors today are 300 or 400. The better ones are 500 or so nits of brightness. When you get into true HDR, and there's all kinds of HDR terms not used well, but true HDR, you're getting into 1,000 to 1,600 or even higher nits of brightness. What you're allowed to do then is cram what your sensor took into a much bigger space. So you can move your sliders farther to the right, for example, and make the whole image brighter, and it will fit in this bigger color space, but you got to have a monitor that's capable of displaying it. So no, that's a little bit confusing, but so for all practical purposes, almost all your monitors are SDR. Even if they say HDR capable, that's a vague term. It could be HDR 400 for 400 nits or something like that. But at the end of the day, what Adobe has done is said, we're going to give the ability to edit in this much bigger space if you have a monitor that can see it. But if you don't have a monitor that can see it, we're going to give you the ability to fake it and still make an image that you can't display properly on your screen, but you can display it properly when you get to an appropriate screen. What's an appropriate screen? The latest iPhone, for example, displays real HDR. The top of the line iPad Pro has what they call a liquid retina XDR screen. That's just their brand name for that. The other thing that Adobe has done and Apple has done all in the last week or two is they've given you 2 new file formats to put this information into that are more efficient than JPEG or HEIC or HEIF or any of those. And they've enabled their Photos app to actually display this AVIF format, which is full HD, and their browser, Safari, the Microsoft browser also can display it. So this movement has been going along. It's going to gain steam. We're early into the process. But so Gary and I have been trying to figure out, well, how can I take advantage of this without buying a new MacBook Pro that has that screen for $3,000-4,000, or buying this fancy $5,000 screen because the computer will handle it. The other thing is and we'll show you here, when you capture an image with a modern camera, depending on what the scene is, you're capturing more information than you can display when you dumb it down to JPEG. You actually have a bunch more data, but you squeeze it into a small space between the two goalposts and make it fit. And so the real issue is maybe we should stop doing that if you want to start getting into the area of seeing these better images. So anyway, Gary, you want to show them how to do it with
Yeah, so this is a standard display like everybody else has. And if you look up at the histogram, this is a standard display histogram, and you see that there's some blacks here. And as you go over here, you'll see this rising up here to the highlights, and you can see those highlights here on the screen. Well, the information in the raw file, there's a whole lot more information there, like Bob said, that we can't display here. But when you hit this HDR button, all of a sudden, these 4 extra f-stops appear. And we compress the standard histogram down into this side here, and it takes the highlights and extends it out for 4 more f-stops. Now, you can't see that on this screen. If we had an HDR screen, you could. But what it's going to do is give you the opportunity to see the histogram of what's happening there, and you can actually visualize the HDR.
So if you look in the pink half of that, you see there's data. And
So here's the visualization, and the colors tell you actually where that information is, and you can change that. And this is like,
so you really have
you're
two
guessing
options.
really is what you're doing as to what this is.
You squeeze that excess data down into the smaller space, and then you squeeze it again down to something like an 8-bit JPEG with high compression and throws away a lot of data. So what we use for Club is the worst you can possibly do to an image.
Right.
Now,
so
if your
what you do is you actually can preview what the results are on an SDR screen like this, and you can see where these highlights are grayed out now. And our this monitor, as good as it is, it's Apple's second best monitor. What do these cost, Bob? 1,500 or something like that?
Yeah, they're $1,600, but they're 500.
But it can't display HDR. So all you can do is kind of get an idea where it's going with this. 5 years from now, maybe we'll all have HDR displays, and this will be very easy to do. But right now, it's really complicated. It's very confusing, and you have to do a lot of guesstimating as to what it's going to look like. You can save it then as an HDR file. And what are the other formats, Bob?
Well, the HDR capability can be saved in several formats, but the two that are in use now commonly are gain mapped JPEGs, not to be confused with the old style JPEG. It's a completely broader standard, and I'm not sure that gain map one is going to live very long. But the one that's big one is AVIF. And AVIF is more efficient compression than even the high efficiency HEIC or HEIF files you're used to. It can handle large dynamic range, large color spaces, and it's physically smaller. It can also handle multiple images in one file. So for example, you can edit an AVIF to have standard definition image and to have a high definition image. And if your device can display it, it will display properly.
The problem is if you try to display an HDR image on a standard definition screen, it looks absolutely awful. But Bob, what he's done is he went out and bought a Mac, an iPad Pro. It's a 14-inch screen. He connects it to the computer on the side, and then he can take the file when he's done editing here and slide it over to the iPad Pro and actually see what it looks like in HDR. And he wants to make adjustments. He goes back and makes the adjustments, sends them back. So using the iPad Pro as a second monitor really is a kind of a good idea. It's a $1,500 or $1,100 for the iPad Pro.
Yeah,
and it gives you a second monitor.
Now, we started off with just what Gary said, and that's been our task for the last 4 days. And like I told him, the half hour before tonight's meeting, I said, wait a minute, there's a better way to do this than even moving it back and forth. Why not I just take Lightroom Mobile, run it on the laptop or on the iPad, and I can do the editing in HDR on the iPad because they put all that functionality in Lightroom Mobile.
And when you see these and people talk about them and you look at them and you say, well, there's not that much of a difference. I'm not going to go through all this trouble to do it. When you actually see the difference between a really well done HDR image and a standard definition image, it's like night and day. It is really, really special.
Now, having
So-
said that, there are some images where the entire scene is in SDR space. Don't try and stretch it.
Yeah, you
There's
can't do it.
a lot of images that have more data than you're able to display.
But night scenes and special, sunrise, sunset, there's all kinds of different topics that you can pick where it makes a huge difference. And this is technology that's on the edge and it's coming, but it's worth talking about now, knowing that we're going to have to go there in a few more years.
Most of your better TVs have HDR functionality that's real. And so what I was doing was creating an HDR image on either the Mac or on the iPad and showing it on my TV screen, and it worked properly. The other thing that between Apple and Adobe they've done is they've enabled the Apple Photos app to handle these new file formats, in particular AVIF. And so if you're used to, in say Photoshop or Lightroom, you right click and you're going to export. Well, when you select your options for what file type, it has two new ones in there. So I guess the only point is you got the two Goliath players lining up to support this. And what I found is Microsoft is kind of in there as well. It's a fledgling thing. It's not something everybody's going to want. It's not something the Camera Club's going to adopt anytime soon, but it's something that's real and you can start to have some enjoyment, especially out of your better images.
Gary, can you print that? Would you see it on a print with today's
That's the
printers?
thing. This has nothing to do with improving the quality of the print. I mean, the print quality out of a printer is so low in dynamic ratio that it doesn't even come into play.
Very few print services accept anything besides JPEG. There's a few that accept TIFF, for example. But at the end of the day, JPEG is squished down to 8 bits. So you've thrown away huge amounts of color data, and it's squished down to a very small size, and they've thrown away a lot of data to boot. If you get into the true HDR files, they're 32-bit. So you've got billions and billions of colors, and you've got lots of detail capability. Again, it's going to be an issue because literally 99% of the printers in existence can't do it. Part of that problem is because your white point is set by the paper you use, and you can only get your paper so white. Whereas when
So
you're
is this really meant to be more of a video application for film? And
it also works for that.
And
So
sometimes it can be. You can buy a MacBook Pro right now, a 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pro that has an HDR display. And I think they start at about $2,000. Well, when you think about having the ability to have an HDR screen, that's really a good deal. And
Gary, I set my TV up on for YouTube watching to HDR.
Again, that's a misnomer.
That's a big misnomer.
It's blacked out, but afterwards it's fantastic. It's above anything else.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. The best thing on YouTube is really not very good. That's why all the pro photographers go over to Vimeo or other sources, because they don't neuter the image so bad. What happens is you upload really high quality stuff to YouTube and they down res it. Now, to give you another example where you mentioned video, if you've got an iPhone and you take HDR. The current iPhones you can set them to take HDR photos and HDR videos, and they play nicely on your more modern TVs. They also play well on the cell phone, and they play well, incredibly well, on the HDR screen computers and iPads. So again, just kind of letting you know this stuff's there and it's real and it's coming slowly, but it's coming.
It's probably 3 to 4 years away from being, you know, a standard type issue with monitors and things like that. But it's coming, and it's coming quickly. And you know, the things that like camera clubs are going to have to make serious adjustments, you know, with the way they display images, you know, what you're going to show at camera club, you know, whether you want even to have people submitting HDR images. It's going to be a real battle.
Anyway, just be advised that with the capability, you can save AVIF files, and there are ways. And again, Greg Bentz will walk you through. Greg Bentz is like a super expert in this stuff. He's got all kinds of white papers, and in fact, he's got one paper that will explain every characteristic of every brand of television and why you do or don't want it.
So it's a lot to digest all at once when you first hear about all this. And it's
but if you get
exciting to think that we're going to have the capability to do this.
You get an image that has the high dynamic range, and you apply HDR, and you apply good editing techniques, it becomes mind-blowing in what the image can do.
And this is going to have nothing to do with making your equipment, your camera equipment obsolete. The biggest changes in photography, I think, are going to come from software in the future, in the next couple of years. That's where the big changes are coming. And this is just a preview of what's coming.
When I was going back doing my tests, I was going back and picking old files, 5, 6, 7 years old in some cases. There was a phase there for a couple of years where I shot a lot of bracketed shots. So those are good candidates. But at the end of the day, 2/3 of the need for that bracketed shot was because the sensors weren't capable of a high enough dynamic range. Nowadays, they're pretty damn good.
So Gary, I have a Asus ProArt high dynamic range monitor, and it's saying that I have the capability of HDR. I have to change some buttons.
You have to look at what the brightness level of it is. It needs to be 1,000 nits.
1,000 to 1,600 nits.
It's 1,000.
Okay, then you are fortunate enough to have an HDR.
Really?
monitor.
How much was that monitor?
I think I paid 1,600.
Okay, that's one of the rare ones because we've been checking through all the monitors available. If you would, what's the exact model number of that?
It's hold on. It's
an Acer?
Yeah, Asus, US, ProArt, and it's a PA32 UCR-K. It's a 4K HDR monitor.
Well, I bet okay. Yeah, I'll look for that because I wasn't finding much of anything in the 950 up to 2,000 range that was real. There's tons of them that say HDR that are out there for $200-300.
Okay, yeah, I paid $14.99.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Greg Bentz says in his thing that Apple and Asus are two of the people, and also Dell. But I looked at the Dell monitors, and the Dell monitors are $4,000 before you get to what you're really looking for.
And I know there was another Asus that I was looking at that was more like 4,000.
Yeah, that's when you get into the 4K.
Yeah, I
4K
didn't
and
want to.
6K.
I didn't want to pay over 2,000.
Yeah, I mean, if you get like Apple's fancy one, that's a 6K monitor, 32 inches. It's perfection. So that's why it's a $5,000 monitor.
Yeah, I looked at that. Because that's when I got my Apple Studio. I thought, well, I'll just get an Apple monitor.
Yeah,
And then I looked at the cost and said, no.
yeah.
afford that.
Unfortunately, after looking at the competition, I think Apple's fairly well priced. Maybe 500 or 1,000 too much. That doesn't mean
Okay.
I'm gonna go buy one, but
Right.
Probably a lot more information than everybody wanted to hear about tonight, but
No, that's good. Because I had no idea that had come out. So I got to install the new versions.
yeah, I would suggest watch a couple of Greg Bent's videos. Watch maybe Matt Kozlowski and some others just to understand it. Figure out how to run these things we showed you tonight properly, and try some experiments with the AVIF file format. But the fact that they've already got the file formats working in photos. So for example, tonight, just the 15 minutes before we came, I'm on the HDR iPad with Lightroom LR, not LRC. And I took an old image and brought it in, moved the sliders clear to the right. So I stretched the brightness and everything, and saved it out as an AVIF, and I saved it right to the Apple Photos app, and I can click on it now and bring it up.
Wow.
So for some people, that's going to be kind of neat. You'll see what's possible. It's always possible to do it in the HDR and then do a second version that's SDR, because all you're doing is squeezing the histogram. Well, more than that. So anywho, be aware of it. I know it's overload. It was kind of hurt our head all week. But we're starting to get it figured out.
we probably had 20 or 30 phone calls about this all week.
Yeah, at least.
All
Well,
right.
thank
have
you for
fun.
sharing.
Yep, you bet.
You're guiding us through it.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right, see you later.
Okay. and
thanks.
Dan, we got to get in touch.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Okay,
All
bye-bye.
righty. Bye.
Bye.